Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about some male romances that I think are so underrated and I just wish more people would read. Hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, and happy Pride Month, besties. The best month of the entire year because I get to talk about all of my favorite queer romances, as if I don't do that already. That's basically what my entire channel is. But today is really exciting because I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite books that I think are so underrated. These are male romances that I just wish more people would read and got more attention. I'm going to be talking about 7 male romances. I have different subgenres and tropes, and these are like the best of the best. Some of my favorite books of all time. I've reread some of these books multiple times, so I'm really excited to chat about them. I just did a video where I talked about my favorite sapphic romances, so if you want to see that video, I'll leave it down below. But today we're going to focus on some of the best male romances, so let's go ahead and jump right in. A lot of these books are by indie authors, and a lot of them are also available on Kindle Unlimited. I feel like I find most of the books that I read on KU, especially like in that section that says like books you may like. I don't know, Kindle Unlimited has really like honed into my reading taste and has recommended me some of my favorite authors of all time. So yeah, a lot of these books are available on KU, and I just feel like more people need to pick them up. We're gonna start off really strong and talk about one of my favorite authors ever. Literally, I think she is my favorite author ever. I have read her entire backlist. I've given all of her books 5 stars. I think she is fan-fucking-tastic, and that is Marina Vivancos. I love Marina Vivancos so much. Like, I cannot even put it into words. I think her books are so sweepingly romantic and unique and impactful. They have such good queer representation and mental health representation, and like, I wish people would read her books more because they're truly some of the best books I've ever read. She has so many different subgenres. They're all available on Kindle Unlimited. Like, I just need people to check her out. She's absolutely amazing. I just feel like nobody writes like her. She writes contemporary romances. She writes paranormal romances. She writes Omega-verse. Her books range in length as well. She has novellas and full-length novels. She is just fantastic, and I can go on and on and on about her books. Right now, we're just going to talk about my top 2 favorites. Well, I wouldn't say these are my top 2 because all of her books are my favorite. Anyways, let me stop yapping. One that I think is super underrated and actually a really good place to start if you're looking to pick up one of her books is In This Iron Ground. This is the first book in her... What is the series called? Oh, it's called the Natural Magic Duology, but the 2 books can be read as standalones. In This Iron Ground is the first one. The books in the series have some pretty heavy trigger warnings, so make sure to check those out before reading. But this one starts off by following our hero, Damien, and at a very young age, both of his parents pass away, and he is kind of filtered through the foster care system. He ends up experiencing a lot of abuse and neglect from his foster parents and gets placed in a home that he does not feel safe in. So he ends up seeking solace in the woods behind his house, and in this forest he ends up discovering a pack of werewolves. This is a paranormal romance, so werewolves and magic exist in this universe, and he ends up meeting the Salgado pack, who actually take him in and kind of introduce him into that world. He ends up forming a lot of connections with the people in the pack, but especially the eldest brother, Hakan. This is a friends-lovers romance, but at the core it really follows Damien as he is learning to love himself and healing from his past trauma. It spans many years and has a very strong found family trope. The people in this pack really take him in as their own. The found family aspect is written so beautifully in this book. The mental health representation is absolutely amazing, and then you kind of see our hero fall in love with his best friend as he is simultaneously like falling in love and learning more about himself, and it's stunning. I love this book so much. The second book is even more emotional, and I love that one too. So yeah, I just think this one is a really great duology to start with if you are picking up a Marina Vivancos book. It's nearly impossible to pick just one Marina Vivancos book to recommend to you when I'm talking about underrated male romances. So another one that I really wish more people would read is Oh Sacred Dark, and this one is a part of her Dark Coven series, and it is a part of like a Dom sub universe. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's very similar to like Omegaverse, kind of like if Fated Mates and like Omegaverse had a baby. And in this universe, people are actually born with a designation. You are either a dominant or submissive, and depending on your designation, you have like different biological needs and urges. So this book has witches and magic and a bunch of paranormal elements, and it starts off by following our hero Roman, who was born into a coven that participated in chaos magic and blood magic, which is like the darkest, most evil magic that one could perform. And he spends a lot of years being abused by his family and the people in the coven. He does end up making it out though, and him and one other person in the coven, who you get to see in a later book, end up reporting into the magical council, and all of it gets dismantled. So like for his protection and for him to really recover through everything that he'd been through, he ends up getting placed into a completely different coven. This is where Roman ends up meeting our hero Tyler, who is like the second in command in this council. Roman, as a submissive, has gone through so much, but he needs a dom to scene with, and he's really having trouble finding someone because he just doesn't feel safe with anyone. But one person that he does feel safe with is Tyler. So the two of them end up entering into this BDSM relationship, and it follows their romance. It's kind of hard to explain though, because the magic system and like the intricacy of the found family element is really unique, and I've never read another book like this. I mean, there are a lot of dom sub books, especially in fan fiction, but like nothing like this. This one is really special. Like, I'm not really explaining it properly, but if you like really angsty books, a found family trope, witches, magic, paranormal romances, like this series is absolutely amazing. The next book that I think is super underrated and I wish people would read more, but it's kind of bonkers, but I think that's why I love it so much, and that is Mate Hub by Marie Renard. This book is crazy. It's basically like the paranormal version of like OnlyFans. It follows one of our heroes who is a werewolf shifter, and he is a professional sex worker. He makes videos on this website called Mate Hub, which is the paranormal version of OnlyFans. Most werewolf shifters in this universe cannot really form bonds with other people frequently because it takes a really huge emotional toll, but our hero is really known for being able to form bonds, and not with a bunch of different people. Okay, he's a little bit of a player and people love him for it. His number one rule though is that he is never going to catch feelings with someone that he works with, but he ends up working and scening with our other hero, who happens to be a human, and it turns out that they're fated mates. This book is hilarious, like absolutely hilarious and bonkers and weird in the best way possible, but somehow it's like very romantic as well. I love the banter between the characters. I love the plot of like a reformed player turning into a complete cinnamon roll for our other hero. Like, that's super cute to me. So this one is so fun. When I read it, I thought it was just gonna be like a bonkers fun time, like not really taking it too seriously, and it ended up being 5 stars. It ended up being like one of my favorite MILF romances that I ever read, in like a very serious way. Like, next one is another paranormal romance. I just realized I think like most of these are paranormal romances, but like that's one of my favorite tropes, and it is Perfectly Imperfect Pixie by MJ May. This is the first book in a series that is so good. I think I've given all the books in the series 4 or 5 stars. You do definitely have to read it in order though. I wouldn't recommend reading this series out of order, but this one is a really good first book. This one's another one that's incredibly unique and kind of hard to explain, so hopefully I do it justice. But it is a romance between a werewolf shifter and a pixie, which might sound a little strange, but is really cool. It starts off by following our hero Cedric, who is a werewolf shifter, and he recently got custody of his niece and nephew. Ends up becoming their guardian because his brother and his sister-in-law pass away from a car crash, but the circumstances of their passing is pretty sus. The grandfather of his niece and nephew is not a great guy, okay? He is definitely involved in some really bad circles and is fighting Cedric for custody. Cedric is pretty much trying everything that he can to protect his niece and nephew, and in doing so, he needs to make sure that he has a safe home for them so that the judge can grant him full custody. His idea is to hire some help to watch the kids and take care of the house, and he gets recommended to search for a home and hearth Pixie. There are different Pixies in this universe, and all of them have like different magical elements that they excel in, but a home and hearth Pixie is exactly how it sounds. They're able to create a really safe home, and that is where our hero Philodendron comes in, or Phil for short. He is a little bit different from most Pixies. Most Pixies are very demure and small, and our hero is super tall and doesn't really fit in with like the rest of the crowd. Really struggled to find a job because a lot of people judge him by his appearance, but Cedric ends up hiring him, and it follows their slow burn romance. A lot of my favorite tropes like found family, fated mates, forced proximity, it's just such a good romance, and the entire series is fantastic. There are so many different like paranormal creatures within this series. There's werewolves and pixies like I mentioned, but there's also vampires, necromancers, zombies, fairies, like warlocks. There's just so many different romances and paranormal creatures. I absolutely love this entire series. The next two books that I want to recommend are both Omegaverses, which is like one of my favorite subtropes ever. If you're not familiar with Omegaverse, I do have an entire video kind of describing the entire subgenre and concept. I'll leave it down below, but it's essentially as if fated mates and shifter romances had a cute, sexy little baby. Similar to Dom's sub-universe, people are born with a designation. You are either an alpha, a beta, or an omega, and each designation has different characteristics and biological urges. It's like a crash course on Omegaverse, but these next two books that I'm going to talk about are some of my favorites, and they're both male-male romances, obviously. So the first one is Whiskey and Sin by Emily Rath. I really think this book is so underrated. Emily Rath is a very popular author, but I feel like her hockey romance series is more popular and what people tend to pick up and talk about. But like Whiskey and Sin is one of the best Omegaverses I've ever read. Starts off by following our hero Silas, who at the beginning of the book is actually trafficked by a group of people who are trying to sell Omegas to the dark market. As they are transporting him, he does escape, but he ends up getting really injured, and that is how he meets our hero Bear. Our other hero Bear is an alpha, and he finds Silas on literally the side of the road and comes to his aid. Considering the fact that Silas had not had like the best history with alphas, he doesn't trust them, so he doesn't tell Bear that he is an omega, but he does take up his offer to go back to his house to kind of recover and heal from his injuries, but also to hide away from the people that are hunting him down. Bear instantly feels drawn to Silas and really wants to help protect them, and it ends up following their slow burn romance. This one is so freaking sweet and so freaking romantic. I absolutely love the bond that our two characters have. This one is another one that has all of my favorite tropes like Omegaverse and fated mates and found family, and it's just so good. Again, Emily Rath is really popular, but I feel like this book is one of her more underrated ones. The next Omegaverse that I love is Unnatural by Alessandra Hazard. This one is actually an Omegaverse between two alphas, which is kind of uncommon for Omegaverse. In this universe, there are two kingdoms that have always been at war. They've constantly been fighting for years and years and years, and now they're kind of looking to create some sort of peace, and the best way they see to kind of like diffuse that tension is to create a marriage between the two kingdoms. So our hero Hayden is the prince of one of the kingdoms, and he's also the captain of the guard, and he ends up getting placed in a political marriage with our other hero Royce, who is a senator of the other kingdom. Prince Hayden is an alpha, and what makes this romance a little bit forbidden is that our other hero Royce is an alpha as well, but he is disguising himself as a beta. In these kingdoms, because there's so much war going on, a lot of the alphas have been like continuously sent to war. So when Royce was born, his mother ended up lying about his destination and saying that he was a beta. Alpha-alpha relationships typically do not tend to work because alphas are known for like their more aggressive qualities. So when the two of them get kind of forced into this political marriage, they end up butting heads and not really getting along at first, but of course they quickly end up falling for each other. And what I love about this book so much is that our heroes are obsessed with each other, like possessive, obsessed, touch him and you'll die type of energy. Feral. They're feral. That's like the best way to describe it, and I just love it so much. I eat this book up every time. I've reread it at least 3 times. Like, it's so freaking good. one of the best Omega verses out there. I do love the whole series, but this one is my favorite in the series. All right, and the last recommendation is another series that I think is absolutely amazing and I want more people to read, and it is by Lily Mayne. It is her Goliath of Wrestling series, which is a collection of paranormal books. Surprise, surprise. I think like all of the books that I recommended were paranormal romances, but anyways, this one is really unique because it follows different creatures and monsters who work in like this underground wrestling rink. So strange. Yeah, it's a bunch of different paranormal creatures that are professional wrestlers, and it follows a bunch of different romances. They're all male romances. My favorite book in the series is the second one. It's called Clean Finish, and it is a romance between a fairy and a werewolf shifter. Our hero, who is Faye, is the assistant to the owner of the wrestling rink, and he's a little bit of a flirt. He's constantly flirting with all of the wrestlers. Comes off really confident, but the truth is he actually has no experience. And he's kind of nervous to start a relationship with someone because he doesn't know what to do in the bedroom. Ends up propositioning our other hero, Seb, who is a werewolf shifter, and kind of convinces him to be like his sexy teacher, give him some sexy lessons. This one is a friends to benefits romance, and I love it. Friends lovers is honestly one of my favorite tropes. I feel like it's criminally underrated. Like, I prefer friends to lovers over enemies to lovers any day of the week. Is that one of my favorite? Because False Comeback, which is like the newest release in that series, is so good too. Oh, I love that one a lot. Like a lot. Oh god, I can't pick a favorite. Yeah, that's it. Those are some underrated male romances that I wish more people would read. If you stayed this long and you enjoyed the video, leave me an emoji. Leave me a black heart emoji. There's a black heart emoji, right? I think so. Leave me a black heart emoji in the comments down below if you stayed this long and you enjoyed this video, and I'll know that we're bookish besties. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Love you!